Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are making a pumpkin-shaped loaf of bread. Now, it's actually a lot easier than it looks. It's basically just like making a normal loaf of bread, but with some twine. So it doesn't take much to make it look like this, and it's a really nice and rustic, fun sort of maybe centerpiece to your Thanksgiving table, or just a fun baking project for you to take on this fall. So without further ado, let me show you how to make it. In a large bowl, preferably with a lid if you have one, stir together the yeast, sugar, and warm water. Let this sit and bloom if you're using active dry yeast, or you can just move on if it's instant yeast. Always check your yeast packet for the instructions. Then add whole wheat flour and bread or all-purpose flour and salt, and mix this until you have a rough dough. This will come together more as we let it rise. After 30 minutes, we do the first stretch and fold. With damp hands, lift the dough, stretch it up and over, and then turn the bowl 90 degrees and repeat this all the way around. This will slowly develop the gluten in the dough, and it's a great tip if you A, don't want to knead, or if you're B, using a wetter dough that you can't knead very easily, like this one. Let it rest again and then complete the second stretch and fold. This is when it'll start looking smoother and like a dough that you've kneaded, and it builds structure and helps the loaf rise properly. Now it's time to shape. Turn the dough onto a floured surface and shape it into a ball. Let it rest beneath a towel or cling film for about 10 minutes. In the meantime, soak 4 long pieces of butcher's twine in neutral oil, we just use vegetable oil, and then lay them out in a crisscross pattern to create 8 sections, and make sure to squeeze any excess oil out of them before you lay them down. You don't want too much oil so that it gets into the bread dough or that you can taste it at all, but you just want enough so that the twine doesn't stick to the dough, basically. And it might get caught a little bit because the dough will rise around the twine, but the oil should prevent it from sticking. Now set the dough seam side down in the middle of the twine, trying to keep everything as even as possible, and then gently tie the ends around the twine and cut off any extra twine. Make sure you do this loosely because the dough will rise again, and it will obviously expand in the oven as well. Now this will go in the fridge for about 20 minutes while you preheat your oven to 450 Fahrenheit or 230 Celsius, and place a metal or cast iron pan on the bottom rack of the oven to heat up. Also start boiling some water, just about 1 to 2 cups, on the stove or in a kettle. Now score each section with a sharp blade. A knife or a razor blade works well here, and then put this in the oven. The scoring ensures that it splits and rises in the right places, and it doesn't just explode and ruin the pumpkin look. The steam at the bottom of the oven is what creates the beautiful crust while the inside stays soft and fluffy. Once the loaf is cooled a bit, you can cut away the twine to reveal the pumpkin shape. You might be pulling it out of the loaf in some places because sometimes the loaf does rise around the twine, but you should be fine to get it off, especially if you used oil. Now slice the dough either into wedges or slices. I like slicing it into wedges. That goes along with the pumpkin shape because it's just fun, and then enjoy it alongside whatever you're having for dinner, maybe a hearty soup or stew. This is just such a fun way to celebrate autumn, and you can even use it at your Thanksgiving table instead of rolls this year. It's a bit easier actually, and it just turns out so beautiful and impressive. Okay, I'm just gonna taste it, even though I've made this bread recipe so many times. I can promise you it's very good, but I'll give it a taste anyway. Without butter, you can also tell that the salt level is perfect. It's really good on its own, so I would definitely recommend making this for like to have with like soup or stew or something like that. It's really good. I like how you can like serve it in wedges. I think that's kind of fun, but you could also slice it up if you want. So super easy, super fun, very autumnal. What more could you want? If you like this video, make sure to let us know in the comments, like and subscribe to our channel. Of course, you can find this recipe linked here on the video. And yeah, definitely give it a try this fall. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! The wholemeal adds a little something something too. It's like, I just like wholemeal bread or whole wheat bread a lot more than white bread. Sorry. Make it. Bye.